adoption and being recorded to maintain a permanent record. My name is Sammy Patno, and I'm the hearings officer for the Health Licensing Office. It is 9:08 a.m. on September 19th, 2023. The hearing is scheduled to last from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. with a working lunch. The hearing is being held through MS Teams and in person at the office, 1430 Tandem Avenue, Suite 1A. This hearing is an opportunity for the public to comment on proposed rules prior to adoption. Rule amendments are related to the Board of Certified Advanced Aesthetics definition of advanced aesthetics device, Board of Cosmetology definition of aesthetics device, definition of natural physiological effects, definition of epidermis, and then conforming amendments that would align with those new definitions. On October 23rd and 24th, the boards are scheduled to meet to consider public comment and the hearings officer report and the report from today's hearing to adopt permanent rules. Administrative rules are expected to become effective on January 1st, 2024. HLO invites comments about other options that should be considered for achieving the administrative rules goals while reducing the negative economic impact on members of the public, small business, state agencies, and units of local government. In addition to presenting verbal comments at the hearing, anyone may submit written comments until noon on October 9th, 2023, which is the close of the public comment period. Comments received after October 9th, 2023 at noon will not be reviewed or considered by the boards unless the public comment period is extended for everyone. General instructions are each person wishing to comment, say which board you're commenting for or both, a rule number if you know it, where you're from, if you represent an organization, what that organization is, if you're in support, opposed, neutral, or maybe both, some of, depending on the rule, some of all, board, any comments that you want to make, and that's it. I will call each person when it is their turn to testify. That we have a couple people in the room, and then we've got, I don't know how many people are here. Looks like 10-ish people. So I'll call on each person individually. I don't have names on all of these, so we'll have to just kind of wing it. I have email addresses and phone numbers. HLO will not respond to questions during the hearing. After the close of the public comment period, a written report will be provided and made available at the October 23rd and 24th board meeting or available upon request. I'll begin taking comments now. So I'm going to go ahead and take the ones in the room first. Carol Loman. You can come up here, and it has kind of a list of things that I rattled off that for you to say, so that I can get it on my little sheet here. Doesn't have to be exact.
Any time?
Around 3 minutes is what I'm thinking. You know, if you go a little longer, that's fine. But if we're keep saying the same comments over and over again, then I'll definitely be limiting it to 2 to 3 minutes, unless you have other things to add.
Sure.
Anytime you're ready.
Cheryl Lohman, representing myself. I'm from Corvallis, Oregon. I'm here specifically to talk about the microneedling, and I oppose the proposed rule. And I'm commenting on both boards. I don't know the rule number.
That's fine. I know it. There's not very many.
And I wrote a letter, but I've changed it in my mind already. I am dual licensed in Oregon, tattoo artist and an esthetician. I've been an esthetician for 16 years, providing microneedling and microchanneling for over 10 years, minus the 2 or 3 years where it was under question during the corrective legislative action. As I understand it, CAE was originally started to address the lasers. And, I agree with that. I'm thinking of some comments that were made at the last meeting. I viewed the video and there's misinformation that we discussed at that time. I have trained on 4 separate needling devices. Each one of them required training from the manufacturer, and none of them, repeat, none of them promoted pinpoint bleeding. Pinpoint bleeding is not the goal in microneedling. We have had the proper training and we are not going below the epidermis level. If microneedling is put under the CAE and the requirement is for the CAE-COS estheticians to go back to school, I am not interested in spending the money or the time to get my CAE just to do microneedling. I have no interest in working with lasers. I think that the focus on the training in the school should be the fundamental training for how the skin works, not tool specific. And every individual in this field has interests that not all of us are going to use the same tools. And I understand the concern voiced at the meeting about the pinpoint bleeding. As I am a tattoo artist, I understand bloodborne pathogens. And in my practice, I never get pinpoint bleeding. And I've never had any of the reactions that the audience brought up at that meeting. Interestingly, it's too early in the morning. I have had clients, I do not perform microdermabrasion, but I have clients who have reported they've had microdermabrasions done and they cause pinpoint bleeding. So is the microdermabrasion going to be placed in the CAE as well? Because it's what I've seen, microneedling is not producing the bleeding as much as the microdermabrasion. I feel that microdermabrasion is more harmful than microneedling because I'm not sandpapering off any skin. Part of the protocol for microneedling is addressing the aftercare, and to suggest that estheticians are not knowledgeable in the aftercare or of the treatments or wouldn't learn proper aftercare is just plain ignorant. If there really is a concern about microneedling, why doesn't the board create a separate certification specifically for needling, just like the body art board has carved out for people who want to pierce earlobes only? They are not required to go through the whole piercing curriculum and only piercing earlobes. I likewise do not want to go through laser training just to do microneedling. And my clients are demanding microneedling because many of them have tried laser and IPL and they hate it. In conclusion, I strongly urge you to keep microneedling, microchanneling in the esthetician scope as it is currently. And there are some online courses if the board is interested in really learning about microneedling. One of the foremost experts in the field, Dr. Lance Satterfield, has some online training, and his studies have all indicated less is more. Therefore, do not pierce the epidermal layer. Thank you.
Are you going to provide written comment?
I will have to read.
Okay, that's fine. You can email it to me. And if you have any studies, go ahead and attach those with it so I can give those to the board as well.
Perfect.
They'll be sent everything well in advance so they can read through everything. Deborah Kruger.
Name is Deborah. I am a licensed esthetician in New York and Oregon. Just recently in Oregon for the last 2 years. A lot of the stuff, I'm gonna just kind of add in some other information since some of it is repetitive. What Cheryl had expressed. I offer micro channeling, but I know the two are grouped together, needling and channeling. I
None of them, or just her? She's not talking any lower than that. I guess come over here.
who will meet.
Oh, how? Sitting on the big.
That
The microphone. That's not how they can hear you, but they can hear her.
Am I not talking? Am I talking loud enough?
You're talking as loud as you are. Can the people on the
It's
phone,
me and technology.
can people on the phone hear, Deborah?
Yes. No.
I can hear her now, Sam. Before I couldn't when she started.
Oh,
Okay.
Agreed.
Here now.
Okay, great. Well, okay, so I've been
Sorry.
an esthetician, thank you, I'm glad you got it squared away. I've been an esthetician for 13 years. I've never had any incidences. I have very clean report. I was recently, just last night, I was at a trade show in Seattle where I actually did speak with a nanoneedling rep and a microchanneling rep, and just, you know, it came up in conversation what we're going through here in Oregon. And both of them hands down expressed that there is absolutely no reason why that we should not be able to work within the epidermis in both micro needling and micro channeling. The results are so beautiful. I have clients that come to me for the micro channeling and just have seen beautiful results, which I have included in my letter that I sent over to Sammy. It's just absolutely going to be putting an economic hardship on estheticians who are small businesses such as myself. I'm an independent esthetician. I work solely on my own, and I absolutely depend on being able to have this service and able to support myself, support my business. Another thing is that the beauty industry, in my opinion, is starting just to become it's very saturated. Everybody wants a piece of this industry, and you're going to find, like, everything that we offer, you can buy online. Like, you can even buy a micro needling little apparatus that will have a needle depth from a 0 to a 2.5 millimeter, and people can do this in their own homes. So I don't really understand why you would remove this from our scope when we are offering it in a clean, sanitary environment. We are trained, we spent money. I've never worked beyond a 0.5, which is a very low needle. So I think that's another thing that you guys really need to take into consideration. I would be really interested in just knowing or having the transparency of where you guys came up with your information, and because all of the science, the data really just shows otherwise. And like Cheryl, I have no interest in going to school for advanced aesthetics. I think of advanced aesthetics as laser, tattoo removal. That is not within my interest. I'm already still paying off student loans from, 20 years ago. And so I really just would ask you guys to really think long and hard and just think about really what you guys are doing, the economic hardship it's going to cause on a lot of people. And I will consider leaving Oregon if this is the case. I mean, it's just baffling me that every state just has their own little law. And I really think this is something that should be more of a national thing, because skin is skin regardless. It doesn't matter what state you're in. So I just ask you guys to please think about this long and hard and do your due diligence in your research, and, understand the skin just the basic level of microneedling and microchanneling. I would just call a couple reps and just talk to them if you need to. Thank you so much.
Yes, if you have those studies, data or science, please put them in an email and send
Okay.
them to me.
Yeah, I'll just send it over to Sammy.
Yep, or April or Carrie, whomever anyone, even HLO,
Okay,
but Sammy's good.
okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you. And you said you don't go below 0.5 or 2.5?
I've only worked up to a 0.5.
Okay, got it.
That's just my comfort level. I feel like estheticians really kind of work on a, that's the standard of this 0.5. I mean, the epidermis is gonna be different for everybody, I imagine.
The 2.0 is when you're doing.
Yeah, when you can give the comment when,
I just call it low level needling for the sake of,
okay.
but it's. Yeah. So if somebody can stamp away at home with a 2.5, yeah.
What did you call it? What was the other name you just called it?
It's a low level
Oh,
needling. 2.10 is when you get into. Over here. Just for the things.
and are you in Portland? Did you
I'm
say,
sorry, what's that?
are you in Portland?
I'm in Portland.
That's okay. Okay. Brenda. And I did receive both of your comments,
Okay,
but they appeared to be the same.
so there should be one letter that was sent to April, which was dated prior to the first.
Yeah, we
of
won't
the
take
month.
that one.
Okay, so that's the one I need to resend to you. I thought I had.
Yeah, I
resent it to
emailed you about that.
Yeah, I got it this morning.
No, I
and so-
emailed you back when you originally sent it to me. We went back and forth in a couple emails.
Okay, I'll go back and look. I was probably doing it on my iPhone and
Okay,
didn't have the correct information.
anytime that you're ready.
Okay, my name is Brenda Lutu Clayton, and I own two small salons. One is more of a day spa, with a focus on skincare, and natural, manicures and pedicures, and hair being the last part of it, and then the other salon, with hair and skincare. I am here today because I have been a former member of state board, and I know how state board is supposed to work. And what the whole policy of the board is to protect the public, to protect the health and safety. In the last few years, with the creation of the Advanced Aesthetics Board, we have had melee and mayhem, because we've had a lot of false information out there, and we've had a prejudicial interest from a specific beauty school who is an advanced aesthetic school who has partitioned, and like the people who testified before, they are single practitioners operating in their own little studios. And so when information with the loss of Northwest Stylist magazine, and not every single person gets the emails from the health licensing board since we became OHA, people didn't know. And so just to go into history, so when we created the Advanced Aesthetics Board, it was supposed to be for the health and safety of lasering because it was happening in malls and things like that. Then what we found out, because of the word FBA being in a law, we lost a huge scope of our practice. Ordinary estheticians, we lost the ability to do microneedling. We lost the ability to do the channeling. We lost the ability to do microdermabrasion, LED light therapy, high frequency current. and microcurrent. All of those things have been standard beauty school practice. I went to school in 1986. And those were things that we did with the exception of microdermabrasion and microneedling. We had other methods. There was a microneedle roller way back then. But that was all beauty schools taught that. And now we have a board, 2 boards with members from the same school that's advocating for this. You guys need to ask yourselves the question, are we doing what's fair and equitable for our state of Oregon and for our estheticians? Are we trying to promote a specific, it's $30,000 minimally to go to advanced aesthetic school. And this is something, like I said, I've been licensed since 1986. And when we had only cosmetology and barbering, when those were the 2 disciplines, people went through and learned all these things in basic aesthetics. Now in the state of Oregon, the whole licensure has been broken up. You can't even, kids come out of beauty school today and they don't even know how to do a man's haircut. And that's because if a man comes into a beauty school, they go to the barbering program. It's completely compartmentalized. So that's a whole nother topic. But what I'm here to tell you guys is that we went through Oregon Esthetician for Fair Licensing. We got the Governor Brown, overturned this very prejudicial law. And then we had to form these committees. I myself have applied to be on these committees, but we have a whole fair and equitable program. I did not make it on the committees. There was a lot of people who wanted to talk on them and people who had experience in the industry. And so now you have these 2 committees who met and decided that microneedling shouldn't be in there. At a depth of 0.5 in the epidermis is completely safe. There has been no, and you can ask Sammy, she's here today, there have been no complaints of microneedling.
Me,
Yeah,
speaking?
in the
Okay.
state of Oregon, have there been any
Could not,
complaints?
I couldn't reply to that. I don't have any idea.
And you know, it used to be when we had state board meetings, we had the inspector to tell us what the complaints were. We went through all of that stuff. I don't know if you guys do that anymore. But I've been down here to Salem myself twice in the last month, regarding this issue. And it is not fair. It is not equitable. Who are estheticians? Who are they? Does the board, the cosmetology board, know who they are? They are single women, or they are women small business owners. That is the majority of them. And you're taking away that, you know, it costs $2,000 to get your certification for this particular program to do this. Not to mention the sterile needles that you purchase, the type of device, the implement that you use and ongoing education that you have to have so that you can keep up on the standards. So I really urge the Oregon Cosmetology Board, whose job it is to regulate the health and safety of the public. I really urge you guys to look at this. All beauty schools, up until 2 years ago, when all of this mess got started, they taught all of those devices I previously mentioned in beauty school, in standard beauty school. And I've called around, I've talked to Fagans, I've talked to Beaumont, and I asked them if they were teaching these things. And since this law, this desk stuff got started, which I think it started in pre-pandemic, and then of course the pandemic slowed everything down, that everybody was teaching that, but they haven't taught it because the law is so murky and so unclear. And estheticians don't know. In all of the esthetician forums in the state of Oregon, you see people constantly asking, they want to do some kind of deep peel. Is this in our scope? And then it takes people, you know, to answer the questions because we haven't been clear on our laws. But I am here to tell you that laser hair removal, which most estheticians do not want to do, they don't want to have incur the cost of those lasers. We're fine with the advanced aesthetics being all over that. And the last girl who testified, that is exactly right. You can go on Amazon and purchase different pins. You can purchase different rollers, all of these kinds of treatments that you can do yourself at home. And we have training behind this, and we're not going beyond that 0.5 needle depth. There is a whole new set of therapies for hair replacement that is a different depth. And that will be something that will have to come down the road. But right now, we just want to keep doing what we have been doing with our scope of practice. And I urge you, board, to do your homework and not listen to there's people from the same school who are pushing this agenda. And where are you guys getting your information? What are the complaints? There are none. And realize that people, this is our lives. This is our livelihood. It's how we make a living. It's how we feed our kids or send our kids to college. It's how we pay our house payment. And this could be very, very, very detrimental to us. So I really implore you and urge you to listen to the people, the statements that they've been giving, and I urge you to do the true homework on this issue. Thank you.
Do you have, did you request the data from our regulatory unit on the no complaints?
I called them up and messaged, but I did not have a return phone call.
Okay, so you don't have any data saying that, that's it. Okay.
I got from one of the board members who said she had that data, so it's secondhand. I didn't get it from your state inspector, no.
Okay.
So that's on record. The last meeting in June, Sammy, was on record that there were no complaints for microneedling.
Correct.
And that's on record.
Yes, it was.
I'm not arguing with you, I just don't know.
Okay. Any board member online, there's 3 members that.
Yeah, it's on the.
Board members aren't online.
So Cindy, who is on this hearing then? The board members?
Other people who want to testify and staff. Next person is Elena.
Hello. My name is Elena Smith. I'm a statistician and I'm looking for a day lunch.
You're probably gonna have to speak up. I'm betting anything. Can everybody hear her?
No.
Louder.
Volume. Okay. Okay, my name is Elena Smirnov. Good. I'm a statistician, chef in Harvard Salon and Tennessee. As a concerned professional in this industry, I believe that microneedling is a safe and effective procedure that can greatly benefit clients seeking skin rejuvenation treatments. Microneedling, also known as collagen induction therapy, involves the controlled creation of microconjugates to the skin using the needles. This process stimulates the body's natural wound healing response, leading to increased collagen and elastin production, ultimately resulting in improved skin texture and appearance. It is important to note that the application of microneedling devices and procedures does not involve invasive medical techniques which are outside the scope of cosmetology. Instead, it falls within the realm of aesthetic treatments that many licensed cosmetologists or estheticians already possesses the skills and training to perform safely. As long as cosmetologists or estheticians adhere to proper training, hygiene, and safety protocols, microneedling can be administered effectively without compromising client well-being. Moreover, the practice of microneedling is becoming increasingly popular and widely accepted in the beauty industry. Numerous training programs and certifications are available to cosmetologists or estheticians who wish to expand their skill set to include this procedure. As licensed professionals, we are committed to upholding the high standards of safety and care, and I'm confident that the Oregon Board of Cosmetology shares this commitment. I respectfully request that the board considers the inclusion of microneedling within the scope of practice for licensed estheticians, provided they have completed proper training and certification. This would not only enhance the services offered by licensed professionals, but also allow clients to receive microneedling treatments from individuals they trust and have an existing relationship with. Thank you for taking the time to consider my opinion. And I think that we should keep this microneedling procedure among our institutions because it's very safe. We don't have any complaints from our clients, and it helps to keep our world beauty and like to have trust from our clients. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And am I spelling it Smirnov? Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
I
And you're Portland, Lake Oswego. What did you
the email sure.
say it again?
Sure.
Sherwood.
Sherwood. I thought you were saying Cheryl. Okay. Question will be, can I read my notes later? I don't know. But the both boards will get this recording and my notes, so they'll be able to hear it themselves. Madeline Maldonado.
Microneedling is a minimally invasive treatment that has grown in studies have confirmed microneedling aging. Licensed estheticians who are mandated to undergo rigorous inspections of their knowledge and practice with continuous professional development. Safety infection control and design. Vital infection control. Hear you. Yell. Guidelines require estheticians to use a single-use needle on each client, reducing the risk of infection. Our license allows us to work with the epidermis layer of the skin, using the proper needle depth and staying within the epidermis. There is no blood being drawn, reducing any risk from bloodborne pathogen risk.
1 second. Please do not use the chat feature. No chat feature. Keep your phone on mute and no camera. Please.
Another component that allows microneedling treatment to be safe is appropriate client screening. Surgeons are trained to assess individual clients, taking into consideration their medical history, current conditions of their skin. A thorough consultation process minimizes any potential complication and helps determine if microneedling is required. While it is understandable to approach any innovative cosmetic procedure with caution, it is equally important to recognize the treatment safety and efficacy when implemented by a well-educated esthetician. With proper training, infection control standards in place, and proper clinical analysis, microneedling has emerged as a safe treatment worthy of its place in a modern aesthetic practice. Yeah.
Thank you. And if you have some of those studies, put it to me in an email would be great. Okay, now we'll go to the MS Teams. So I'm just gonna call based on your phone number, or if I have your name, I'll call your name. So the first one, well, do I want to do that and give them the phone? I guess it's public, so 484-338-0022. 0022. Give me your name, location, and if you're opposed, neutral, or in support.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Kyla Davis. I'm from Portland, Oregon. And I am opposed to the ruling of this going in the way of certified advanced estheticians. I myself am a licensed esthetician, and excuse me, I have been performing this service, and I have find it very, very hard to get to pinpoint bleeding. I have done this service on several clients over the last 2 years that I've been performing this, and I feel like I have to, if I were to even get to erythema, is to go over the same places over and over and over again with the microneedling depth that we are working in at the 0.5 millimeters. So I don't understand how this can even be an argument from certified advanced estheticians to take this away from us.
Is that everything?
Yes, that's everything.
Can you give me your name again?
Kyla, spelled Kyla.
And last name?
Last name Davis.
Oh, perfect. And where are you from? What location?
Portland, Oregon.
Thank you, Kyla.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, you could read it for her, or I can take it. Totally up to you. Okay. Next one is ending in 3391. Three, 3391. Five, 3391. Okay, we'll come back to that one. 503-758-0041. Seven, 558-0041. Okay. Next one is 851-2350. Can people on the phone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so 851-2350. Okay, Angie.
I think that's me.
Okay. Give me
My
your,
name is Angie Goodness. I'm in Beaverton, Oregon. I've been an esthetician, oh my God, for over 10 years now. I am opposed to this new rule very strongly. I feel like the board is getting a little heavy-handed with this. microneedling, microchanneling, and the nanoneedling do not go past the epidermis. If it does, it needs to fall underneath doctor's discretion in a dermatology office or a med spa underneath a doctor's scope. I do agree with that practice. However, there's benefits that can happen when you're doing even a 0.25 microneedling or microchanneling to the skin that's done in a sanitary environment. Our issue is now is that people can buy all these devices, the microneedling, microchanneling, micro rollers, microdermabrasion machines, radiofrequency machines, and laser machines off of the internet, whether it's Amazon or anywhere. I've actually been just researching Amazon. They can get these devices and do these treatments at home, which is far more dangerous than doing it in an aesthetics environment that has set up with practices to keep their health in line. So I feel like certain schools, advanced aesthetic schools, are pushing to take away all these treatments from the basic aesthetics program. I have no interest in working with lasers, any whatsoever, at all. But I would like to continue doing microdermabrasion, radiofrequency, microcurrent, LED light therapy, all which are beneficial for health, skin, and recovery. I also stress very heavily a home care, and I actually follow up with my clients, which I'm sure every esthetician that is in the state of Oregon does so, because it's our business. And these people are our business cards, and they're walking around with the results on their skin. There needs to be a limit at what this board does. It's designed to protect the health and safety of the public. Now it's more focused on what's more beneficial to the school, the advanced aesthetic schools, and not what's beneficial to our estheticians or our advanced estheticians. So I'm very heavily opposed to this, and there needs to be a limit. Why are we having to redefine the word epidermis when it's actually been explained from day one on this? I know every individual has different levels in their skin, but when I do microneedling, I actually don't go past 0.25, and I can still see amazing results, especially if I'm seeing the clients every 14 to 20 days. I know with myself, I do minimum 500 to 600 hours a year on continued education on whether it's gua sha, touch therapies, everything I can think of. I'm constantly absorbing as much as I can to know what's going on so I can best inform my clients on what's going to be beneficial for the skin, not to mention even just what's in skincare products out on the market. I will do research for that as well. And I know every esthetician out there is doing the same thing. So there needs to be a limit to what this board is doing, and they need to sit down and really think of who's benefiting here, because it's clearly not the estheticians. You're taking money out of our pockets, which is not going to help our economy whatsoever. So I'm sorry I'm on my soapbox. I apologize. I really hope that the board takes this into consideration. And if you need documentation from me on any sort of devices that can be found available for the general public to purchase, I will gladly do that research and send it to you.
Yeah, any information you have that I can provide the board to tell the
I will
story
do
would be
so.
great.
I will go ahead and send that to you. Because while I was listening to all these commentations, I was doing some research on Amazon, and you can buy a laser hair removal device right off of Amazon. I've even seen it on TikTok. I've seen it on Instagram. So it's not something that the board is protecting anyone from at this point. So I'm questioning everything the board does, because it's not set up to protect the estheticians or the public. It's set up to benefit a certain advanced aesthetic school. And in my opinion, not one advanced aesthetic school or any school business owner should be on a board. They shouldn't, because it's a conflict of interest for them. So I am opposed, and I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
hear me?
Is this hiker girl?
No, hi,
No.
Sammy, it's Sammy, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
It's Elizabeth Pasco. Hiker Girl, that's a different email address I have. I want to say that I oppose. After listening to everyone's comments, it does sound like it's only beneficial to the schools at this point. And I've been an esthetician for 20 years. I don't think I've ever had anyone complain about me and the work I've done. I too have one of these devices. I haven't worked with it recently because of all of the hoopla. I've just decided to stay safe and be within my scope. But that said, agreed. The last commenter made about people who have interest with a school should not be on a board. That is a conflict. And since everyone does, well, not everyone, but people do buy these devices and they're going home and they're haphazardly doing this, it is much safer to have it done. And when you take it away from the estheticians, you're also going to probably make it even more expensive for the consumer of what we do, because they're going to be limited on who they can go to, right? And if no one has complained, I don't even know why this has become an issue. So I want to say I'm opposed. That's it. Thank you.
Elizabeth, what was your last name?
I'm sorry, Lee Pasco.
Could you spell
Lee
that?
Pasco. Lee, Lee hyphen Pasco, Pasko. And I'm in North Plains. I was in Portland and I'm now in North Plains. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Jessica Q. Jessica Q.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm actually not Jessica Hugh. You called my phone number earlier and you had me on mute, so I had to call back. And I
Okay,
think
what's
that's
your,
why some of the phone numbers that you called are not able to respond to you. We can hear you, but you can't hear us because some of us are on mute. So just for the
we
other
don't-
people you already called.
we didn't call anybody. You actually have to call into us.
No, I'm not saying phone call. I'm saying when you called out our phone numbers and we didn't respond, those people their phones were put on mute. So you couldn't hear us saying, hi, I'm here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you should be able to hear us if you're on mute.
I could hear you. You couldn't hear me. You already called my phone number to speak and you skipped over me because you didn't hear me respond to you. Does that
Got
make
it.
sense?
So you can't
Okay.
turn your phone off mute? You can't take it off yourself? You need me to do
I
it?
took my phone off mute, but
Okay.
when you were having difficulty hearing someone earlier in the meeting, you on your end put callers on mute. So
Right,
you
because I
can't hear us
asked for everyone
respond
to
to
be
you.
on mute. Because we get a lot of
Yes.
feedback if you're not on mute, so unmute
Yes.
yourself when I call your number. Or I
I
can do
did,
it for you.
and you still couldn't hear me, but you need to do it on your end as well, is what I'm saying.
Okay. What was your name
Okay.
again?
My name is Stacy. My last name is Sitko, Sitko. I'm a licensed esthetician in Oregon. I've been practicing for 23 years. I have a small business in Portland, and I pay taxes to the state of Oregon, the city of Portland, and the county of Multnomah. My business heavily relies on my ability to perform microneedling services, and all three entities that I pay taxes to benefit greatly from these treatments, as well as my clientele. I have never had any complaints to the health board in my 23 years of practice. I have safely and effectively performed microneedling services, and I want to appeal to both the Board of Aesthetics as well as Advanced Aesthetics that to take a step back in my scope of practice is a huge mistake. And I think that what makes the most sense here, if the state does decide they want to move forward classifying microneedling as an advanced modality, is to grandfather in people that have been performing this service safely for all these years. I don't know any other profession that would have their scope of practice minimized by the state and have that be acceptable. I've gone to school for this. I've paid tens of thousands of dollars, not only in schooling, but in
You're breaking up. You broke up there.
Hello,
You broke up for a
can you
minute.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have spent tens of thousands of dollars in advanced education as well as equipment to be able to perform these treatments safely within my scope. I have had amazing before and after results that help bring new clientele into my business. To take this modality away from me at this point, 23 years in my career, would be detrimental to my family and I believe many estheticians' families across the state of Oregon. I am agreeable that the health and safety of the public should always be something that we look at when we are deciding scope of practice. And I think in this industry, we will have to continue to make adjustments as new technology comes into, the mix. And I think that having the defined law of estheticians working within the epidermis makes sense to me. You can safely microneedle in the epidermis. I understand that microneedling devices are classified as FDA devices. However, the FDA classifies them as a medical device with low to medium impact. Medical does not mean that it is limited to doctors only. There are plenty of medical devices, dermaplaning scalpels, for example, that estheticians can use effectively. And I believe that if you want to limit microneedling abilities to a 0.5 depth, which is within the epidermis, estheticians can continue to thrive in microneedling treatments, offer their clients effective services, and continue to protect the health and safety of the public. Nobody wants their license to be revoked. Nobody wants a liability case. Estheticians are very dedicated to their clients. If you know an esthetician, you know that we are the cheerleaders of our clients. We always want what is best for them, and we are going to do everything in our power to stay within state law for safety protocols, sanitization, and we know the skin just as well as an advanced esthetician knows and understands the skin. The education of skin and how cells perform is the same. It's not like advanced estheticians have a deeper understanding of skin. What advanced estheticians get is an understanding of how lasers affect the skin, how cool sculpting affects the skin. But microneedling is in the Milady handbook that every school in the state uses to educate both licensed estheticians and advanced estheticians. So we have all of the information at our fingertips, just like an advanced esthetician. So when it comes to microneedling, I firmly believe that 0.5 depth or shallower is well within our scope of practice and should remain there. I also think that anyone that is sitting on these boards that is making these rules should be mandated that they listen to this. It should not be optional that they listen to this. They should not have notes on my speech sent to them so they get a bullet point. If they're serious about making these life-affecting decisions for our community, they need to hear this. They should be present for this meeting. You have estheticians taking time away from their business, away from their families, to send you research on the safety and efficacy of us performing this service. The people sitting on this board should already know this information if they're making this decision. This impacts my livelihood as well as thousands of other women, men, whoever that is a licensed esthetician here in Oregon. And I think that this should be taken very, very seriously. This should not be something that is, glazed over and voted on without all of the information. Thank you.
Yeah, and I encourage you to send any information that you have. Kyla Davis. That name sound familiar? Okay, she was, okay. Lacey Darling. There you go.
Hi, this is Lacey Darling. I'm an esthetician in Portland, Oregon. I am greatly opposed to this ruling. I just want to reiterate something that she just talked about the health and safety aspect. Advanced estheticians do not get any other training in the cellular level of skin than a regular esthetician. We have the same knowledge. There's no discrepancy there. We learn the exact same thing. The only difference is that they're receiving the certification to do microneedling in advanced aesthetic school. So did I. I received certification. I spent thousands of dollars of my own money to do the exact same thing. It seems like the only reason that this is being put in advanced aesthetics is for the benefit of the schools, to be honest. This isn't something that has ever come up as being a dangerous health issue to our clientele. We have been doing this for many, many years. So really, this, again, just does not seem like something that has the interest of the health of the public. It's not for that purpose. We all have that same knowledge, that same training. We have the same background. So if it's a depth issue, great. 0.5 is plenty of depth for us to use. I already closed my business in Portland, Oregon because of the things that are going on with the state board, because of the things that are obviously not issues that are with the estheticians themselves. It's issues with the schools in that process. I closed my business. I already lost thousands and thousands of dollars. This is coming back to the same issue over and over again, that we're really pushing towards something that's more regulation for not any good reason. Essentially, you're taking things away from people that they've already been doing for so many years. So I am opposed to this ruling, and I hope that you will reconsider and look at all of the research that's going to be flooding into you guys. So thank you very much.
Maria Pitari.
Hi, my name is Maria Pitari. I'm a small business owner in a family business with my father. We operate 4 salons in the Portland metropolitan area, and we employ over 33 estheticians in the state of Oregon. I, like many of the commentators today, am also opposed to the proposed regulation. Many of the estheticians that I employ, through being able to provide services such as micro needling and microchanneling, have been able to enjoy a level of financial independence that has been life-changing for them. Many of them have been able to purchase their first home. They've been able to send their kids to college. They have been able to build a savings for the first time in their lives. And that's because they made the investment in themselves to gain the training and knowledge to be able to provide services that are valuable to the public and that are safe to the public. And I second the comments that, like I said, the previous commentators have made in the devastating economic impact that this regulation would have on single moms and of women in Oregon. The other thing that I wanted to mention is in the proposed rulemaking, there's a significant lack of data to back up the claims that are made. It's been repeatedly noted of a lack of data to show that there have been complaints or safety concerns surrounding this service, and the way that that the justice system works is that you have to prove that something is true. It's not our job to prove that there have not been complaints. It's the board's job to prove that there have been complaints, for that to be a valid argument. The other point that was made in the proposed rulemaking is that there would be a positive economic impact on estheticians by not having to deal with the litigation fees tied to settling these complaints. And again, there was no data provided on the cost of these litigations that have been incurred in the past. So both of these arguments, I felt like were not sufficiently supported. Whereas on the other hand, there is plenty of data to support the economic impact that this regulation would have. For many aesthetic services, microneedling and microchanneling can compose as much as 25 or 50% of revenues, which is the case for us as well. And then not to mention the cost of gaining license, as well as foregoing the investments in marketing equipment and training that have already been made to be able to provide these services. So I oppose as well the regulation on behalf of my business and the 33 estheticians that I employ.
Thank you. You said you're from Portland, right?
From Portland, Happy Valley, Lake Oswego.
Thanks, Maria. Next
Thank you.
person is Olivia Nelson.
Hi, this is Olivia Nelson. I am from the Portland area, and I'm not going to repeat everything that's already been said. I agree with pretty much everything that's been said. I just wanted to suggest that it would be reasonable, I think, to require additional education hours, just kind of similar to what the board did for dermaplaning and peels in the last couple of years. I think that would be kind of a good, reasonable common ground to come to. So I'm in opposition of removing microneedling from standard scope. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Mackenzie Landry. Maybe she's under others from chat. Does that mean she's in the chat? Oh, it says request to join, so she hasn't joined. Okay. And we can't take them off of mute, correct? We can only mute them. So the next one is, I'm gonna go back to 758-0041 phone number. You can take your phone off mute. Okay, oh. Down up. Okay, so 503-3488. That's a new number. Five oh three 805-3488. It looks like all the others disappeared. Oh, somebody was waiting in the lobby. Seven 758-0041.
Hi, this is
Hi.
Nancy. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So I actually just had to leave the call and jump back in again to turn my phone off mute.
Okay.
I had it off mute on my
Is there-
phone, just to be
Isn't
clear.
there some kind of a method on cell phones to turn it off mute?
Yeah.
Star six.
No, it's okay. I received a message actually from your end that said you are being muted. So I think it's just a system malfunction. Hi, my name is Corinne Park. I am a small business owner in Portland, Oregon, and I'm opposed to this rule change. I don't have much to add with this. I think mostly everything has been said, but just definitely want to add my voice and say that I'm opposed, and just I'm really hoping that the board is listening to us in earnest and not just as a formality. And I would also like to say that it's really hard to define these layers of skin so concisely. What I mean by that is the skin doesn't go in perfectly straight layers. It's very ridged. So a lot of the services that we do, you know, sometimes you're hitting the dermis without meaning to. Like, say somebody has an extraction to do. Sometimes, you know, that goes all the way to the dermal layer. So I just don't know how helpful or even necessary it is to define our scope of practice within just the epidermal layers. As far as microneedling and microchanneling go, yeah, I think it's really sensible just to have a limit on, you know, the depth of penetration, and we'll all happily adhere to that. I think you would be doing mostly, as people said, single women, many single mothers, a huge disservice taking these treatments away, especially because, you know, again, there's been some issues raised with the complaints, but if this is about public safety, then block out any, you know, moneyed interests that you may have, and focus on public safety. And that's all I have to say.
Eight oh five 3488. Corinne, can you spell your first name for me?
Yes, it's Corinne.
It's Park, right?
Parke.
Great. Okay. 805-3488. *6 will take you off of mute. 851-2350. Okay, is there anybody?
Can you hear me, Sammy?
Yes.
Okay, Deborah Maston, I'm a certified advanced esthetician as well as a standard esthetician and an instructor of microneedling and also other modalities for estheticians. I am a founder, one of the founders of Oregon Estheticians for Fair Licensing, who worked on the last bill for defining the devices that could be used for the scope of estheticians. And the law that was passed states that we may use devices that work within the epidermis in the standard scope of estheticians. The diagram sent out by the HLO clearly shows that microneedling devices that work within the epidermis do fit within that scope of practice. I was very disappointed in the last board meeting where it was a joint meeting between the standard and the advanced board. In the testimony that was given by just 2 members really spoke up on the effects of microneedling. And one statement was incredibly inaccurate, that you could not basically microneedle within the epidermis, which is untrue and shows lack of knowledge and clearly to me that it was a pushing something in a direction that it shouldn't be. The other statement that was given, because the justification for moving microneedling must be that it would compare to those other modalities. It would be like a laser or light in the risk factors, which is entirely untrue. Laser and light-based devices have extremely high risk for skin and eyes, and microneedling is in fact more like dermaplaning. So the justification for moving this, excluding that we're not even talking about that no complaints, as I asked actual Bob or Trampus if they knew of any complaints that were filed, and they said no, not at this time. So, and I have sent a request. We are not seeing complaints done with microneedling or microchanneling, which is also microneedling. Anytime you use needles to penetrate the skin, it is microneedling. Whatever depth you're doing is for a specific purpose. I am highly opposed, and I am an advanced esthetician, and I teach those that perform this procedure to work within their scope of practice and to abide by all the safety protocols necessary whenever you're putting anything on the skin and using microneedling. I feel that this judgment was made with improper information. It does not have the risk factors that those other modalities that have been placed in the advanced tier have. And I feel that this needs to be thrown out, that there is no reason why we cannot both in both practice of standard aesthetics and advanced aesthetics do microneedling within their scope. And I think that this is the reason that we had to go back to the legislature and do this. The last law is because we are having people making decisions for other people's livelihood without the proper information and with possibly their own agendas. I feel like we need to make sure that we're protecting the public, of course, but we also have a whole host of people that rely on this service as their livelihood. And it was done, I feel, the vote and the discussion was incredibly limited and very inaccurate. And that our boards, I'm challenging our boards to then take another look at this and to make the right call and decide that needling should be done within the epidermis by a standard esthetician, and that maybe those services such as scar revisions and other services that require a deeper depth would only then be considered an advanced service. Thanks very much for your time and help with this issue, and I look forward to hearing from the board in the next board meeting.
Thanks, Deborah. And I think you sent in public comment, correct?
I sure did.
Okay, I received it.
Good. Thank you.
593-3391. $33.91. $34.88. Okay, I will ask anybody in the room if they had comments. Do you have comments? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to sign the sign-in sheet. You don't really have to. I'm keeping your name up here. Okay.
Hi, my name is Carla Healy, and I oppose. I am speaking to ask you to please consider taking microneedling in the master's esthetician scope of practice. I became a licensed esthetician in 2008 and have worked at many different places since then. I'm a licensed esthetician in Oregon, California, and Washington. Now I run my own practice in Oregon, Skin Unique Solutions, and have been since 2016. I am also a certified acne specialist with face reality.
Say that last part again.
Huh?
A certified what?
A certified acne specialist with face reality.
Certified what specialist?
Acne.
Acne.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'm very passionate about the skin health and have spent many years training, researching, and doing continued education to further my knowledge. I did my training for microneedling with Dr. Lance Setterfield and Deborah Maston, CAE. I have had 10 years of training for microneedling with the device providers and have now been offering it as a service for 10 years. Through the many training sessions I have done, I have learned to only work in the epidermis and to not push past depths that go beyond the outer layer. I was interested in adding this as a service I offer because I have found that it helps many of my acne clients with any scarring that may result from their acne. I have been able to provide all my clients with amazing results with little downtime and have had many come back for more treatments and to purchase microneedling packages. I have offered at least 500 microneedling treatments and have not had even one person complain about a reaction or negative outcome. I am very confident in my skill and know that I am providing this service safely and effectively. I have never reused needle cartridges and have received extensively training on sanitation with which I execute currently. I have invested a lot of money into my microneedling devices, as well as all the training I have done and all the training I paid for my employees to become certified as well. If this treatment were to be taken out of my scope, I would lose so much of what I have invested and will see a huge loss of income, as it is one of my top profiting treatments. I am a business owner and have hopes to expand my business and hire more staff and pay my current staff more. This will not be possible if I'm not getting the profits from microneedling treatments. I may also have to consider letting go of my current employees in order to hire advanced technicians, which would be very upsetting to both me and my amazing employees. I would also much rather save the money that I would have to pay for the advanced program and invest into the success of my business. My business is open from 10 to 7 p.m., 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. every week, which leads, with this schedule, I would have no time to go back to school. I have no desire to work with the various laser or body contouring treatments offered in the advanced program and will not offer them as services on my business. Education on these treatments would be wasted money for me and would not benefit my acne clients as much as microneedling treatments would. As a spa that offers results-oriented treatments, it is essential that I am able to provide my clients with real visible differences in their skin. My clients are able to achieve this the most with microneedling. If I am no longer able to provide this service, I worry that my clients will go to different med spa and continue to go there for other treatments, meaning I have lost the clients completely. I have also hired 4 estheticians from the school that they have gone, and they have been told that they cannot do microneedling unless they are advanced aesthetics. What is not true until later, maybe in January. So I have been able to train them. I pay for their training, and they have been able to perform. So I'm just wondering why at the school they are saying that they are not allowed to when they are allowed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it Heely?
H-I-L-L-E.
Yeah.
H-I-L-L. One over there. Do you want me to sign?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna take your name here. Anytime you're ready.
Okay, my name is Brenda Satchel. I'm a licensed esthetician. I have a spa in Hillsboro, Oregon. Okay, so my name's Brenda. I'm a certified esthetician in Oregon since 1990. I have played many roles in the past 33 years. I've been a practitioner, educator, a assistant director for a cosmetology school. But I do feel the most important role I've held was teaching aesthetics and advanced aesthetic courses to over 300 certified estheticians in Oregon. The main thing I'm here to express was my concern of the meeting on June 12th. During that meeting held, the CE board expressed concern that the estheticians could just go out and buy a microneedling mechanism and provide microneedling without any actual training. I can assure you, the board, that this is not how I or any other esthetician in Oregon have conducted themselves. Since 2018, I have participated in 3 certification classes for microneedling and hands-on training with the Candela manufacturing for the Exceed microneedling unit. I have invested multiple hours towards training, spent at least $2,000 for training over the last 6 years. Yes, according to the law as it is written, we could self-educate. However, that is not the case. If that was the case, I am sure will have had hundreds of complaints against estheticians that have been microneedling since 2010. Is to my knowledge, there have been no complaints filed at all. The CE board also cited that there was no real parameter for electrical and mechanical devices. I quote one of the CA board members. Electrical and mechanical devices can mean anything. That is completely not true. And in 817-01504 or 0040 clearly states that an esthetician is limited to performing services with mechanical and electrical apparatuses, appliances or devices that do not penetrate past the epidermis except through natural physiological effects. An esthetician may use a mechanical or electrical device, apparatus, appliance, or device that include, but not limited to, galvanic, high frequency, microcurrent, and microderm light emitting diodes along with other devices as long as they stay at the same risk factor as the other services listed. Microneedling does fit within the parameters set forth in HB 2970. The risk factor of microneedling in the epidermis has no higher risk than galvanic current, which if you incorrectly applied can shock or burn a client's skin. Microdermabrasion permanently remove pigmentation, cause erythema, create small cuts in the skin. When the CAE board members said microneedling has the same risk factor as a laser, they could not be further from the truth. It is true when microneedling in the dermis, the risk factor goes up greatly. That is true. But if done only in the epidermis, the risk factor is no higher than doing microdermabrasion. I have provided multiple microneedling services, which none of them have had pinpoint bleeding and still got amazing results. I use an Exceed microneedling pen that has the depth control, but the best thing is the needle cartridge. First, they're sterile. They come pre-wrapped in packages. There's no contaminants. They have an outer ring around that needle that helps you stay flush with the skin, and you are able to just guide the pen with no pressure required. The newer, more advanced microneedling mechanisms make it easy to stay within the epidermis. And honestly, the best place to microneedle is the epidermis. The microneedle is the only skin treatment to target and stimulate 3 key skin cells, keratinocytes, melanocytes, and fibroblasts. And it produces type 3 collagen, the healthy type of collagen, through physiological effects without compromising the integrity of the epidermis. I found it very offensive that the CAE board members could state multiple times during your meeting in June that if you are microneedling, you are penetrating into the dermis. That is not true. They also went on as far to say we could be misleading our clients due to the fact that we could not provide the desired results, and continue to state that in esthetician, we are not trained nor capable of dealing with bloodborne pathogens. OSHA set the standards that must be used in the industry for dealing with bloodborne pathogens and is taught in infection control. When I was an educator, we had to train all our students to deal with bloodborne pathogens and follow the universal precautions published by the CDC. Which states, I'm not going to go through all of that, where, you have to, which states treat all human blood and human bodily fluids as if it is infectious with HIV or HPV and other bloodborne pathogens. Okay. As an esthetician, I'm exposed to multiple body fluids, not just blood, on a daily basis, and I follow OSHA guidelines to the letter to protect my clients and myself. If I'm not qualified to deal with bloodborne pathogens, bodily fluids, does that mean I can no longer provide waxing services, Brazilians, extractions, because I may deal with bodily fluids, which can include bloodborne pathogens? Or can I continue to do all these services? Does that mean a barber can no longer use a straight razor, or a nail technician can no longer use a cuticle nipper because they may be exposed to blood or bodily fluids? I would like to point out that that all CA board members, especially the 2 members pushing for the vote, will profit financially if microneedling services are permanently removed or permanently moved to the CAE scope of practice. Lastly, I want to know why the board, from my understanding, disregarded a unanimous opinion of the advisory committee to leave microneedling in the CE scope of practice. If you remove microneedling from aesthetic scope and esthetician scope of practice, you're not only you are not following the guidelines set up in HB 2970 and will cost thousands of estheticians their jobs, or small businesses like mine will have to lay off employees and probably close my business. I have invested $8,350 for microneedling training, microneedles, needles, needle serum, employee microneedling training, and that does not include the miscellaneous supplies and advertising fees. The sad thing I was able to hire an employee this year and grow my business because of the income from microneedling. Losing this top dollar type of service will cost me $20,000 in yearly income. Could you afford to lose $20,000 in income during a recession and still survive? The board member solution during the meeting in June was just to go back to school and get an advanced aesthetic license. Who can afford to pay $15,000 for tuition, $3,500 for the required kit, $250 in administrative fees, and close their business for 6 months? and go back to school. It would approximately cost $19,000 to go back to school while you are not bringing in an income and during a recession. I do not find this a viable solution. To top it off, most schools in Oregon do not have federal financial aid. They have in-housing financing, and they are all raising their prices as of January 1st. Now that's a shock. They're raising their prices just as 15,000 estheticians are forced to go back to school so they can continue to practice a service they have been providing safely for over a decade. This does not just impact estheticians' income. It will affect cosmetology schools, microneedling manufacturers, beauty suppliers, textbook suppliers, advanced independent esthetician trainers, and all of the clients receiving microneedling through a certified esthetician. All of my clients that receive microneedling are furious about the new rule. They will no longer be able to afford to receive the service because it almost costs double to go to an advanced aesthetics or Medi-Spa. Even if a miracle happened and I could manage to go back to school, I would still have to pass on the cost of my education to my clients, and a lot of them could no longer afford the service. Everyone loses but certified advanced esthetician schools, Medi-Spas, and doctors. One last thing I'd like to point out is if I'm not able to provide my services to the clients at a reasonable price, they're not gonna be able to afford to go to a Medi-Spa or a dermatologist or, an advanced esthetician to get the microneedling. They're gonna do what two of my other clients have done and gone on Amazon and purchased their own microneedling unit and caused physical harm to themselves. I've had to work with two clients in the last 6 months to repair the damage that they have done to themselves by just purchasing an online microneedling unit and using it inappropriately. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. See anyone new? I'll go back to 593-3391. And 503-758-0041. Maybe they just don't want to comment. So anybody else? So I will turn off the recording, and then when somebody either comes in to comment or speaks up on the computer, turn the recording back on, otherwise it'll just be recording, nothing. Or us conversating if that happens. So if you want to comment, speak up. I'll have this channel on the whole time. So at 10:41, we'll stop recording.